Hi Pocket Babes, welcome to another little snippet, download from Spirit I wanted to talk about and expand on that came to me yesterday as a result of one of those very human experiences. I had a disagreement with my beau, and it was one of those, like, I said something, he heard something, didn't really line up, triggered some stuff. This relationship that I have with this person is the most profound of my life. I feel like I have met my soulmate, and we are embarking on a relationship as a spiritual practice. So a lot of stuff is coming up around this relationship. There's triggers, and there's intense emotions, and there's sitting in this, and there's coming together, and there's, holding your own space. And it's been a really amazing process. And I've really been enjoying using my relationship as a spiritual practice. If you've been following me around for any length of time, you know that this is my life. Divine Spirit is it. So everything comes together in service of that. And I've met a person who feels the same way. And that's just brilliant and all the wonderful things. But yesterday we had a moment, and it resulted in a separation for the day and then coming back together and moving through the process, which was really beautiful. And at one point, as we were kind of coming together in an embrace and going, okay, we love each other. This is what it is. We'll move through this. I made this comment. I said, gosh, it's such a big risk to love this much. And he goes, yeah, it's a huge risk. And it felt like a big wave crashing is kind of the sensation that I got. But as soon as I'd said it, I got the download, the ping in my head that said, love is not the risk, attachment is. And it kind of knocked me back on my feet. I was like, whoa, okay. Love is not the risk, attachment is. And I really understood, I had a lot of visceral experiences around that in my body, feeling the difference between love and attachment. And it was this sort of disagreement, this trigger that brought me to this place of really deep understanding about the nature of love and the nature of attachment. So, I got into this, let me break it down for myself. I have a very practical bent to me. I like to understand things and break things down really thoroughly before I really talk about them and before I understand them myself. What came to me is love. The feeling of love it's always unconditional. All love is unconditional. If you're not unconditional in your love, you're in attachment, because attachment is the container. Attachment is the conditions. Love is expansive. Thich Nhat Hanh said, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Thich Nhat Hanh said, love in such a way that the person you love feels free. Love is freedom. It is total freedom. It is your heart feeling so expanded for another that you only want their happiness, because their happiness is going to make you feel happy. Love is faith-filled. It's because it's so present. It's in the moment. Love is in the moment. You cannot help but love when you are present with another person. You cannot not love that person because you're present. You're in the present, and when you're present, you are one with the divine, and you are both in that flow of divine spirit, and you can't not love whoever's in front of you unconditionally when you're fully present with that being. That's the experience of love, and it is so very much an experience I have had with many people and with my partner. And then I've also been having the experience of attachment. And attachment feels boxed in. It feels constrictive. It feels needy. It feels like it's not present. It's anything but present. It's anywhere but the present moment. It's tripping about the future. It's worrying about the past. It's ruminating. It's fear-filled. It's scenarios, creating scenarios. When you're creating scenarios in your head, you're not in a place of love. You're in a place of attachment. And that's a really different experience, although easily misdefined as love. Why do we confuse attachment and love? That's the question I come to. So attachment can feel exciting. He needs me. It's like he can't get enough of me and I can't get enough of him. There's this connection. It feels really strong, and it's so overwhelming, and so it can be very exciting and sort of intoxicating. The attachment is intoxicating, whereas love feels more, you compare, attachment is a shot of booze, and love is a fine wine. It's like there's a really different energy, but there's the same kind of intoxication that occurs with both things. But with attachment, it can feel temporarily safe until it doesn't. If you feel like someone is attached to you, you can feel secure in that. The ego can feel secure in that until it doesn't, until you feel boxed in, where you start to kind of realize that there are a lot of conditions wrapped around this love, this attachment masquerading as love. Attachment feeds our ego. Okay, to want to feel needed, to feel wanted, to feel like we are the only person that can fulfill this person's needs and wants and desires. We like that. Our ego is always clamping down, always trying to get the upper hand, because the ego wants to keep us safe and contained. An attachment to somebody else, or somebody else's attachment to us, can make the ego temporarily feel like, okay, we're safe, we're good. We're nice and small and tightly contained. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to die. Love, on the other hand, blasts through that tiny container, that ego container. It just blasts it apart. And it is never ending, ever expansive. It just doesn't stop growing. Attachment stays where it is. And in fact, I feel it gets smaller and tighter and tighter and tighter in time. The ego is always going to want to clamp down on love with attachment, especially romantic love, but really any love, friendship love, child, parent. Anytime you are in a love relationship of whatever kind with another person, the ego is going to want to come in and create some attachments. And attachments come up in the form of jealousy. They come up in the form of neediness, comes up in the form of want, extreme desire. I must have this person, or I must have this result, or you must do it this way. Controlling behavior, needing to caretake, let me take care of you so that I own you. Ownership is a big one. These are the ways that attachment shows up, and the ego initially kind of goes, oh, all right, I'm wanted, I'm needed, the ego likes it. But ultimately what you're going to feel is constricted and restrained and tight. Ooh, and you will not be able to thrive and be your best self. Love wants to support you. Love wants to build you up, have you shine as bright as you're possible. Attachment wants to keep you contained and safe and manageable. All right? So how do you get yourself, we all find ourselves in these places of attachment. We all, even in our most loving relationships, we will find that attachment shows up and comes in from behind like a scorpion's tail. I got you, right? The ego's response is, hold on tight. But how do you move yourself out of that ego attachment space back into that expansive love space? It's absolutely possible, and it's actually really easy. When you make a commitment to it and you be vigilant with this practice, you're going to consistently be able to move yourself out of your attachment and into your loving space. The trick is to identify it and to be honest with yourself when you're in that place of attachment. We all go there. None of us are immune to it. So the first step is to breathe and just get present with where you're at. Presence is hard in that ego attachment response. We want to be out in the future worrying about what's going to happen, or we want to be in the past ruminating about what has happened and how maybe it's done as wrong or we haven't liked it. But when you can get yourself fully present in your body where you are, that's the first crucial step to stepping back into love. And then my favorite practice is an I love you exercise. So what I do is I turn my attention back towards me. See, attachment is all about how can I get the other person to make me feel better. Love is about, I love you. I just adore you. You are shining bright and I'm thoroughly enjoying your shininess. Attachment says, how can you make me feel better? How can you make me feel better? So bringing it back to yourself, leaving the other person out of it for the moment, bringing it back to yourself with an exercise, I love you. I love you. And what I do is I turn my attention to my heart and I say, I love you 108 times. You can use a mala if you have one, or a rosary also has 108 beads. And you can just go, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. But just push that energy into your heart. If you don't have a mala or a rosary, use your finger pads. So the way it works is you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on one hand. So when you hit those 12 I love yous, then you go 1 on the other. And then you do it again. 1, 2, 3, I love you, 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 I love you. Second. And then when you get to the bottom of the ring finger on this hand, you've gone 108 rounds. So it goes really quickly. So give yourself that 108 I love you. Just give that to yourself first, because attachment is trying to get you out of self-love. It's trying to get you, your ego is trying to convince you that someone else is responsible or capable of giving you the love that you want, that you need. And no one, not your soulmate, not your twin flame, nobody is capable of giving you the love you need except you. And you have to take responsibility for that. So giving yourself that love, and then lift your vibration and project that love that you've just given yourself out onto the other person in question, your partner, your child, your your family, friend, whatever it is, wherever you're finding yourself struggling in this attachment place, and give that person 108 I love yous. And what you're going to find is as you project that love out onto the other person, it's going to feel more and more unconditional. You're going to start to recognize that, oh, I actually love this person no matter what. I love this person in my life. I love this person out of my life. All I want is for this person's happiness because I have shifted my vibration into love, into unconditional love, into the presence of God, into God love. It's a powerful exercise. It doesn't take very long. Now, you know, the one time may not be enough, especially if you have an established pattern in your relationship of attachment. So moving from vacillating from love and attachment. Just because there's attachment doesn't mean there isn't love. And just because there's love doesn't mean there isn't attachment. The two, you know, they battle it out. They duke it out. So if you can stay committed and vigilant, committed to identifying when you're in attachment, because you can't do anything about the other person being in attachment. You do something about you being in that attached place. You commit to identifying that, breathing, bringing yourself back to presence and pulling that love back into your heart, and then renewing your energy around this person from that place of love rather than attachment. You're going to see things transform very quickly. You're going to transform. You're going to find yourself coming deeper and deeper into your own sense of self-worth and self-love, not just in terms of this relationship, but in your life in general. And you're going to find that coming from that place of love with the other person is going to transform how that person responds to you. We all respond really well to love. Every person expands into their brightest and best self when they are the target of love, when they are the recipient of anybody's love. But when we're the recipient of attachment, every single one of us gets a little squirrely. Right? Initially, we're like, oh, okay, yes, my ego. And then pretty soon it's like, oh, no, this is not going to work for me. And we start responding out of our own triggers and our own attachments. So when you lead the charge and show up with that love and project that energy and that love and 108 I love yous out of the other person, you do it as many times a day as you need to, because it doesn't take very long. It takes like a minute to do both you and them. Then that's going to start to transform your relationship and your dynamic and the way you understand each other and the way you feel each other and the way you view each other and the way you show up to support each other. Okay, big lessons in love and attachment yesterday. Thank you for showing up and allowing me to share this experience with you. Relationship as a spiritual practice is powerful juju, and I'm looking forward to speaking more and more about this. So thank you. I love you so much.